Bruins have dropped their 5th straight coming off the Four Nations face-off, their 3rd since then. And this game was, one that was in reach, but when we're looking at that now, saying that games are in reach, I think is something that is no good in saying. We need to get these wins. We need to see these wins happen. And it is just a miserable time to be a Boston Bruins fan. Ladies and gentlemen, this game certainly was taxing on the eyes trying to watch this, seeing a game where you come in against a hot goalie, 30-some-odd saves, close on 40, and you lose 2-1. Not putting it on the goaltending, but Jeremy Swayman was certainly a big part of this one. But as you see right there in the bottom of the screen, Elias Lindholm, 38 saves. That was a big reason as to why. But, close games are not enough now. When you say we have close games, we need to see wins. It really don't matter what else happens now. It could be a close game. We could lose 9-8. We could lose 10-0. It don't matter. We need to win. But as you said, Michael, the playoffs are becoming a distant fantasy. That is exactly correct. I wanted to pop on do a little live tonight as a post-game rather than a video. I'll probably be here 20 minutes or so. Kind of want to go over a few things. And my good buddies at Leafs Digest kind of had this idea of just going live after. So we'll be getting into a few things, give a little player of the game later. And I just kind of wanted to get some live reactions because I think this was a game where when we're looking at this team this season, obviously it's been a disappointing season. This was the game which really solidified this season to me. A game where you have the win. There's no reason that this game should have been a loss, apart from this team just being bad. And, that comes from kind of all sides of things. But let's get into the box score here. David Pastrnak getting the only goal of this one, of course, and that being the big highlight for this game. When we're looking at David Pastrnak, he has been the only kind of shining star for this team this season. Everybody else has been, quite honestly, pretty bad. Brad Marchand, I would put, is the other one that could be in that category. But this team I would argue, be the worst team in the NHL if David Pastrnak was not playing on this team. The lineup that we had tonight, I don't have it here, I had that in the video earlier today, was just not an NHL team. Obviously Riley Tufte, when is in this lineup here tonight, Cole Koepke, another one, not playing great as of late, but, you have guys in the AHL that have, I wouldn't say necessarily deserve the spot, but they've earned it in their, in their right, and obviously, there's not much else going for this Boston Bruins team, so why not let them try that? Matt says, I do not want to make the playoffs. I do not want to lose to the Leafs. I think the playoffs are a long shot at this point. And even if we do make the playoffs, which I think there's zero chance at this point, it is useless because we'd lose to, in the first round, whoever we play. Knowing our luck could probably be the Leafs, we would never hear the end of it. And that's just something that, would really top this season off as being one of the worst in franchise history, at least for a fan aspect of things. Yeah, no, Marchand right now has been one of the only people that has made the season at least something good, and trading him would just ruin this season. I've been very mixed on it, and I will say in the videos, I've been saying trade him, I've been saying not. I've really been kind of all over the place, but a lot of it has been due to, what would be the best for the Boston Bruins at the time, but where we are now, and the way this team needs, to be morally high, and trading Brad Marchand would just completely ruin that. It would ruin the locker room, and I think he's been one of the only ones keeping this locker room together. So we literally cannot let him go. Yep, Don Sweeney has to go. I agree. We've been talking about him on the channel here. It has been a really big up and down, I guess we could say, for this team, and a lot of it has been due to Don Sweeney. Obviously adding Elias Lindholm looked like a great move in the offseason. When we're looking at it now, not so great, but I still do see every 1 out of 10 games, which is obviously not enough, that we can get positivity out of Elias Lindholm, but it's just not happening as frequently as we need, and as frequently as needs to be every game. We need to have, that every game from him, and having him locked for 7 years at just under $8 million is absolutely ridiculous. It really, really is. And Matt, I do think that's something along the lines that he would take. If we're discussing Brad Marchand here, a kind of a 1 to 2 year term, I would say 3 at max is what he would take, but I think that's 3 is at max what I would offer him as well. And if it's $5 million, he is taking such a pay cut for this team. That would be so nice. And obviously, he's definitely earned more from his play as well. He's been literally taking pay cuts his entire career, so he definitely has earned that, quite big payday. But if he demands that the team pays him less, that would be the most Brad Marchand thing to do of all time. I did want to move on as well, though. I can't get too tied into this, but David Pastrnak has been on the ice for the last 8 Bruins goals. And this tweet comes from Ty Anderson, of course, dating back to February 8th. This is another reason as to why he is the only reason this team is not 30. Let's go 33rd. I would say the Atlanta Thrashers would be 32 in this league. They're the only reason they are not last place. And it's kind of crazy to think that David Pastrnak has been on the ice for every single goal since February 8th, which is literally almost a month ago at this point. Now, 2 weeks after the Four Nations face-off, but still, looking at that, it don't really matter. That's still 8 games. That's at least 2 weeks of actual time with gapping in between games. So, seeing him carry this team on his back has been something that obviously we've needed to see. And, you can't really see much more from him. He's literally doing everything. But when he's carrying on his back this team and so many players on it, there's only so much that he can do. And I'm going to take this from Darius on Leafs Digest. Throw on the glasses for the player of the game. Player of the game here is obviously David Pastrnak. He's been the reason that this team has been anywhat close, and obviously adding this game to nearly being a win is the only positive I guess we could take away from this. I guess if you want to talk about the shots, which were obviously well favored in the Bruins tonight, as I mentioned earlier, ran into a hot goalie, but running into a hot goalie is no excuse at this point in the season where you need to win games if you want to make the playoffs. But David Pastrnak is tonight's player of the game. Bruins Digest player of the game, if we want to kind of coin that as a term. But moves are going to be made. Let's talk about the trade deadline a bit here as well as we kind of move into our next few screenshots and kind of next few things of the game. But moves are going to be made. I think that's one thing as well that we kind of have to look at. We know that there's going to be probably a Trent Frederic trade. We've been seeing a lot of Justin Brazeau, and I will have a video about that tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. But when we're throwing out their names that, may not be on the market, and I think, Peter, you just said one then as well. I don't know if that's your real name, but Peter Porker, if that's a very interesting thing to look at as well. Zadorov and Lindholm. These contracts are not great for the Boston Bruins at this point. And, Zadorov, I see positivity that can come out of him, but it's just not frequent enough, once again. And Elias Lindholm, it sucks to say, I don't think anybody's going to be taking that contract. So those are two that, if we have teams invest in or trying to really put their name out there into any possible trade, we have to look at it because, things have to be made. We have a lot of young guys that need to be brought up. We have a lot of young guys that can be traded to this team. Matt Savoy of the Edmonton Oilers was linked to the Boston Bruins earlier. Now, be it was a trade for Brad Marchand, that still would be a very unlikely trade. But Matt Savoy being linked to the Bruins is something that we should be a little bit excited for because, obviously, it would take a lot to get him because he's a very, very good prospect. But that's another young name that can be added to this team for this season and years to come to just give you a retool here. It makes it infinite times better to have a lot younger players come in on younger contracts, have that cap space to make moves, and have the freedom of being able to do it. And yeah, you're right. Our young players have been a disappointment. A lot of that, though, I think, is due to them not being given opportunity. Like, we've seen Merkulov up a few times. We've seen Lysell up for one game. I think we have to give these guys a chance at the NHL level, for a while. Like, when we're looking at the AHL and NHL, still very different. It's going to be a much harder game. But I feel like once these players can adjust to this, you put Lysell on a line with, just say, it probably wouldn't be the case when brought up, but you put him on a line with Pastrnak. Pastrnak is immediately going to elevate him. In the AHL, you see these guys playing with some other people that, may not have that NHL level skill or never will, and that's kind of dragging them down. I do think that's only going to make them worse in the long run. So we got to look at this as a time to bring these guys up, see how they can do. There's really no loss to this at this point because it can't get much worse this season. Let's be honest. Yeah, and that is the trouble. Nobody wants to take those 2-player contracts, and the worst part is to be able to take or to get someone to take those contracts, we'd likely have to give up a pick. And when we're looking at the range of Elias Lindholm, I'm okay with the Zadorov one. I think that if he can be paired with the right partner, he could be a very, very good defenseman. Due to his size, due to his physicality, and just his force on the ice. But Elias Lindholm is the one that it's really hard to justify. You would have to give up a first-round pick to be able to get someone to take that contract. And this first-round pick for the Bruins this year is going to be one of the best in quite some time. And I want to see them make that pick. And Zadorov does need better coaching, and it just comes down to having the right setup for him. And I hope that's something they address in the offseason because, they signed him for a reason. And he should be that defenseman that you can rely on defensively and physically on both sides of the puck. And, Fabian Lysell, when he's only been called up once, but it's time for him to come up to the NHL. That's just one thing. And, whether it happens or not, I kind of speculated in the video today about Oliver Wahlstrom being placed on waivers. Kind of gives us two roster spots, and hopefully Merkulov and Lysell are those two guys. They need to get up to the NHL, just to get some reps in. You're not going to get better without reps in the NHL. We've seen it with many players in the NHL, and getting your crack, we've seen players get their crack at 28, 29 years old recently, and that's obviously late for these guys, but how much longer do they want to stay in the AHL? Obviously, they want to be in the NHL, but how much longer are they going to just, justify staying in the NHL before requesting a trade or saying, hey, you call me up, I'm just not going to play. You're not calling me up. They're still young, so they don't really have that right to be able to do that. But still, Merkulov, especially at this point, the Bruins told him to come to the Bruins and get out of college, and we saw, him in the AHL for so long. It just doesn't seem fair at this point for the players and for the fans. And the team needs to be more disciplined. It doesn't seem, like they want to play. It doesn't seem like they're making up for the mistakes. And obviously, this is not on Joe Sacco. Joe Sacco has been an interim coach. I do not see him becoming a head coach now after this. I think that they're going to be doing a big search for that. But when we do look at Joe Sacco as a coach this year, I just don't think he's hard enough on these players. And I guess that's where the players kind of can justify not playing as great. But still, they're costing monies out of their pockets for not playing great. Alexis, as well, good point that you pointed that out. I wanted to pull this one up here. Matt Poitras did not return to the game tonight. I know this is unlikely, but this was mid-game. But he did not return to the game tonight. So that may now leave us with 3 open spots. And one that I've seen a few people in the comments, not in the stream here, but in the videos talk about, is John Farinacci. And I've been kind of speculating as well in the videos that he could be an option to be called up. I didn't really say, yeah, he's going to be one of these guys because I think there's 2 guys ahead of him, and Merkulov and Lysell, 2 of those guys. But we may have to do something with this now. Obviously, if Poitras is out any long time, this could be very concerning, especially the injury history that he's had. We've been able to see a similar injury to this, which was a very, very bad one in Brock Besser a few years ago. For those that remember, looking like this, when the gate is currently open here, you can't see it because it is behind Poitras and it is behind the 170-year-old Brock Nelson. That was I don't want to say it's a disgusting hit. It just doesn't look great from the point because going into the corner of that bench is not great. Now, Brock Nelson got the penalty here. I don't think it should have been Brock Nelson. I mean, it's a bit from behind, but I mean, it was really just a shove, but it was because the door was open that this was bad. And, this is a very concerning thing that we're going to have to kind of look at, I guess, over the next few days to see how this goes. Rich, you're absolutely right, and I hope you have a good night because this is a tough one. Obviously, this is not a great kind of game to go off of because should have been a win, but at this point in the season, we got to get these, and we got to we have no reason to have an excuses for a loss here. But this is something that we're gonna have to take a look at as well because Poitras has been one of our, I guess one of our little excitement points in the NHL this season, seeing his development. And, he hasn't been playing all that great this year either, but he's not been playing bad by any means. And it's really just a matter of time until we get the right partners for him as well that we're really going to see him excel. And we got to remember, he's only, I believe, like 21 years old. So he's lost lots of time. But obviously, this is not a good-looking hit for Poitras. So I thank you for pointing that out, Alexis. I wanted to get to that. So it's a tough one. I want to know what you guys think about this as well because this is something that I didn't feel too good when I seen this happen at all, knowing the way the season's gone. But as you saw there as well, heading back to this one, Jeremy Swayman. This is another one that I kind of wanted to touch on here in the stream. That he has not been great. This is the 11th time in the third straight start in 24-25. He came into this one 3-5-2 with an .888 save percentage. And I really cannot say that I've seen Swayman with a good save percentage this year. And that's no lie. 2 goals on 8 shots in the first 8 of those, of the game. They were not great goalies, and, you got to put Korpisalo in here sometimes. Korpisalo has been a pretty good goalie this year, and, even games like this where you need to win, I think there's a few times that I trust Korpisalo more than Jeremy Swayman here. Yeah, you're right, Alexis. I think the playoff push right now has to be out of the way. I don't think that the Bruins can really justify making this happen. I don't think the Bruins can even, they can make moves, but I don't think they can make enough moves to actually get any positivity out of this. So, making these moves, selling at the deadline, to me, just makes enough sense to justify this season in some means. Tyler, you are exactly right. They do not hate to lose, and as Shorzy would say, the team is definitely disappointed. We're seeing that in post-game quotes. We're seeing that in everything here. But it just has not been... It's not been good enough. It really has not been good enough. We haven't seen this team, on ice respond to games like these. They haven't been, desperate enough in these games. And David Pastrnak would be one that I would say has, but he cannot do it himself at all. It is so tough to watch. And yeah, you're right as well. There's too many injuries. Swayman has not been good enough. Just nothing has lined up this way to make it work. And it's very, very tough to watch, especially the way that we've seen the last few seasons go for this Bruins team. An immediate switch up after making the team arguably better. I know some people would kind of disagree, but I think that this team, you could say, got better on paper with the additions of Zadorov and Lindholm. On paper, that is, on paper. But, it's been a tough go this season, and I kind of wanted to just stream this post game as the video instead of doing a video because I feel like I wanted your guys' reactions here for this one, just to see, because obviously a tough go. But I'll probably end it here. I just wanted to pull up a few things like the hit and Pastrnak, Swayman, a few things that just need discussion. I'm going to probably try and do these as well, little post-game streams after every game. I know the boys on Leafs Digest do it, Nick and Darius, and I kind of just like the engagement. I like being able to talk about the game right after watching this, kind of voice frustration, I guess if we could say, for the Boston Bruins this season, because there's not much positivity to take away from any of these games. So I think this is going to be something that I'd like to get going underway. So stick around for a lot of these kinds of post-game streams. I know the Bruins got a few games coming up that are going to be, must-wins. And I think every game is a must-win at this point. But it is a certain few games upcoming that are going to be important. And I'm going to pull up the games right now because I can't remember the exact schedule before we finish this one off here. Yeah, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Nashville, Carolina, Tampa, Florida, Ottawa, Tampa. A lot of Atlantic Division matchups here, and it's good. If the Bruins at least make some comeback here, if they at least make some sort of push, these will be the teams to do it. And I hope this is the case. But, yeah, I think as right now is the point where we cut ties with the season, go after some young guys, really try to retool this team. Not a rebuild, but retool, because that's what Don Sweeney's been saying. That's what Cam Neely's been saying, and we have to trust them, right? It makes me sick to be able to say that or to have to say that, but things are gonna be happening, and the trade deadline is just under. Actually, now in about 20 minutes for me, will be 7 days away next Friday. So I'll have a lot of videos up until then, kind of covering a lot of players. I do have a lot in mind, and a lot of reports we're going to cover. Brazeau is one tomorrow, so be sure to stick around for that. But hello, Peter. Yes, Brad Marchand, I do believe will be re-signed. I think that's one thing that we kind of enjoy to see. But Alexis, did you just change your profile picture to Don Sweeney in a clown outfit? I have the chat up here, and your profile picture is different. I don't know as long as you're the same person, it is. You definitely changed it. But yeah, the Bruins can't score, can't hold a lead, can't save a puck. The game could end 3-2. And David Pastrnak gets both goals. Everybody else could be minus on this team. Been a pretty unfortunate series of events here. But, okay, just making sure. I thought so, but it's definitely the right one, too. We may have to make a little animation for something here. I'll see. See if I can get something cooked up for next stream to be able to pull up some stuff about Don Sweeney. But yeah, I do appreciate you guys being here. Just a little stream now, but expect these regularly. I want to do these post games, especially the way the Bruins season is going, especially the way that we're heading towards the off season, where plans are literally changing every game because of how things have worked. So, like I said, I do appreciate all of you guys, but that's all I got for this stream. So, if you want to get all your Boston Bruins news, be sure to hit the sub button, give it a like as well, and yeah, we have a lot of stuff coming over the next few days, so be sure to stick around for that. But yeah, that's a tough question to say, Peter, right now. But we do have, I do have some inklings that yes, it will be, but it's really tough to see and think about what Charlie Jacobs will do. The fans are calling for it, and I think if they don't, Bruins fans may riot. I do think that's gonna be the result, but I do appreciate all of you guys here in the stream. But yeah, I will be signing out now. Next game will be March 1st. So what is that? A Saturday, I believe. Saturday, 4:30. Probably won't be live after that one on a Saturday evening, but you never know. We'll see. We'll see how things go. I may be able to do a little 20-minute one, 30-minute one like this, but yeah, we'll get there as well, and some videos will be coming then as well. But NL Rider, you were right. Swiss cheese. Jeremy Swayman blew that game once again. Bruins had all the opportunity to win, though. So, it is a tough go. Any particular player I'm hoping to get? It's kind of tough. I don't really say that I want the Bruins to get anybody, if I'm going to be honest with you. I think we just want to sell. I want some picks. I want some young players. Nobody specifically in mind, but I think it's a lot of players that have the ability to help this team build. If you kind of get what I'm saying there, Daniel. And Alexis, that is the plan. If anybody here is going to the next Bruins game at home, show up paper bags on your heads, ride on this team, get some fire Don Sweeney chance, just like we seen the Mavericks do the other day with the Luka Doncic trade. I don't watch basketball, but that was crazy. That was wild. So, it is tough being positive, but, when you're talking about this team every day, when you're watching this team every day, when you live with this team every day, you can't be down on it all the time. It definitely sucks, but you got to find the positive out of it. Think about what's going to come out of it, and hopefully it's all going to be positive. But I do got in this one here, so I do appreciate all of you guys. But like I said, be sure to hit the sub button, hit the like button if you're looking for all your Bruins content right here. A lot of videos coming with the trade deadline a week away. Hopefully we do see some moves. The Bruins shipping out some players and getting some picks and young guys, but we'll have to see. Until then, thank you guys for watching, and hope you have a great night. And it may be tough, but remember, the Bruins are secondary. This is going to be let's say a bye year instead of a bye week. Rebuild, get back in the playoffs next year, and go for that dub. Lots of streams coming, lots of videos coming. I do appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.